It was less than 24 hours ago that the world learned about the death of singer Liam Payne. He was just 31 years old.
Liam Payne was a member of the popular boy band One Direction. Police say he fell from the third floor of a hotel in Buenos Aires. Well, we don't know what led to his death. The hotel manager said that Payne was, quote, overwhelmed with drugs and alcohol. Payne has been very open with his substance abuse struggles in the past. Our 9 News medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, joins us now. And Dr. Kohli, you know, this is really, really sad, and a lot of people are wondering what happened. And of course, we don't want to speculate, but he's been really open about his mental health struggles in the past.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, the fact that his body was found with a lot of those substances around him. But as a physician, I really want to see the toxicology report, I think, on the autopsy before we know exactly what happened. Because in my mind, it's a little premature to conclude that he died necessarily of those traumatic injuries. Because if he was intoxicated or under the influence of something, then that really is the immediate cause of death.
Mm-hmm. But he did have that kidney scare, right, back in 2019. So do you think this plays in somehow?
He did. I don't think they're related, but you know, in his book, he talked a lot about his childhood history, his medical history. He says he was born premature, and then he had a lot of doctor's visits for the first 4 years of his life. And he actually talks about how he functionally only had 1 kidney, not 2. So even though he was born with 2 kidneys, one was kind of scarred down, he says, and not working properly. Now, it's not clear what caused that, but we know that for individuals who only have 1 kidney, life can be very different. And any amount of alcohol, ibuprofen, getting dehydrated, anything like that can really tip you very easily. And that kidney scare that he had was actually kidney infection, which can happen with or without a kidney stone. But I don't think that that's necessarily related to what happened. But I do worry about his anxiety and his mental health struggles for sure.
That's right.
And he was really open about that anxiety, especially during his time in music. So is this something that we just have to look out for in musicians? Is this something that affects them particularly more strong?
It does, actually, and that's kind of the sad thing. I mean, these are our role models, people we look up to. They're such a big part of our culture, but they say about 70% of musicians will struggle with anxiety at some point in their career, and that comes along with all the substance use, the depression, and you know, all the PTSD and all the other things. And if you think about their life, it's not easy, right? They have to perform all the time. They have to travel all the time. They have trouble with social relationships. They're under scrutiny all the time, you know, as icons in our society. So I think it's very common in the music industry, but I do think we need to do more about addressing it because people turn otherwise to substances.
Yeah, especially addressing alcoholism or just leaning on alcohol, right, as a defense mechanism when you're feeling bad. Because we talk about it all the time, like, girl, it has been a long day at work. I'm going to have a couple glasses of wine. But I feel like that's not the right direction you want to go into ever.
Exactly. In fact, in our society, the happy hours at the end of the week, I mean, they're normalized, they're celebrated. And so a lot of us end up doing this not even realizing, and more so if we're in the public eye all the time. And in his particular case, he did talk about his struggles with alcoholism, how he got sober. And what we can see with alcohol is actually something called hangxiety. So they say after the alcohol wears off, because the alcohol triggers something called GABA, it's a neurotransmitter in your brain. When that wears off and the dopamine wears off, you can get this rebound phenomena of anxiety the day after. They call it hangxiety because it goes with the hangover the next day. So in the short term, it makes you feel better, but in the long term, you're actually creating a bigger problem because now you're turning a smaller anxiety problem into a bigger one by amplifying those chemical signals in the brain with this type of alcohol use pattern. So many of us, I think, really need to stop leaning on alcohol as a crutch. If we are feeling anxious, there are other things we can do. We talked about meditation many times on this show. We talked about calling a friend. We've talked about other sort of mindful activities that take you out of your head and put you in your body. So if your head is the problem, you get in your body. If your body's the problem, like chronic pain, you get in your head. And that's really how we need to cope with things more naturally.
Such an important conversation that I don't feel like we can talk enough about, truly.
Yeah, and I'm sure so much more is going to come out in the next couple of days with this, so we will definitely stay on top of this. Dr. Kohli, thank you so much for joining us. And so important, just remember, if you are struggling, there is always help available. Colorado Crisis Services has counselors available 24/7 if you need to talk to someone. Their number is on your screen. You can also reach the National Suicide and Crisis Line by dialing 988. We'll be right back.